Ryan can ride a lot more relaxed and maybe pull away even more.
Ryan Hughes desperately wants this championship. Of course, every rider wants the championship. And of course, there's probably, what, more pressure, you would say, on Steve Lamson being the factory rider here?
I think it's equal. You know, I mean, yeah, in theory maybe, but there's a chance that Steve Lamson would ride the 125 class again next year, and I don't think Ryan wants to. I think this is his last year in the 125s, and if he can win it, that'd be fantastic for him to move up and say he's won the 125, he'll never go back there again, and he's bringing the title with him.
Ryan Hughes has certainly done his work today. If he can stay out front now, he has squarely put the pressure on this man, Steve Lamson, who currently runs, as you can see on our Suzuki Field Summary, in third. The other two championship contenders today, Brown and Huffman, are in 8th and 9th, respectively. We'll be right back. Hero of that particular Motocross the Nations. And maybe this year, Ryan Hughes in the front of this pack. He'll be at Motocross the Nations, as will Steve Lamson, David.
That's right. And the third pick of that team will be Jeff Emick, who's contesting the 250 class here today. And probably not the first three choices, but with McGrath and other riders electing not to go, it'll be left on these guys' shoulder to try to win another title and steal it back after losing last year.
Ryan Hughes, of course, our leader now on a 125, will be riding a 500 in the Motocross the Nations. Arts with his mechanic.
Moving into the lead, though, could mean 3 points and could tie it up going to the second moto instead of just being a second and third place situation.
Yeah, definitely. You know, tying it up, you know, it can work either way. That could put more pressure on Ryan. But then again, winning the first moto can, you know, give you all the confidence in the world, and he knows he can do it. So just he always rides on the ragged edge. Hopefully that ragged edge this time will mean staying up and take the moto win.
Ryan Hughes hoping to hang on to that moto win, as we hear from Wyatt Seals. But remember, when we talk about the championship being tied, that's assuming that Lamson will be able to work his way past Kevin Windham.
That's right. And right now, as it sits, it's 5 points. So Ryan Hughes would go into the second moto with a 2-point lead. But I think, you know, if I were Kevin Windham, I would, you know, with that hole shot, I would try to pull away and let that battle take place behind me, way behind me, hopefully. And if I couldn't make that work, then I would let these guys go around and not interfere with something that I really didn't have anything to do with. All the, you know, after all, Windham really hasn't been involved in this series very much. He's only had a few races, and you know, I think it's just common sense to sort of stay out of the way of these guys that are fighting for the title.
Neither of those, however, are on Yamahas. So you think he really cares?
No, I don't think so.
Of course, the Kawasaki leads it, a Honda in third. And as we talked about at the moment, there would be a 2-point differential going into moto number 2. However, I think everyone in the pit side, certainly the mechanics, feel that Lamson will be able to put some heat and capitalize here and take that position from Windham.
Well, Lamson's shown all year that he's got the speed to go fast and win, you know, back-to-back motos. He put together 4 overalls at one point during the series. And I think he can go up and run with Ryan, but right now, perhaps he's the pressure. You know, I talked about before, the pressure makes your arms pump up, and when your arms are pumped up, you can barely even ride. You can't use the clutch, you can't use the throttle right, you ride a lot more tense, and now that he realizes that he's behind in the battle, you can see right there, trying to muscle his way around, he's still not able to do it, and that's going to make him even more nervous. All while this is going on, Ryan Hughes is still continuing to pull away slightly.
Steve Lamson right now feeling the pressure, according to David Bailey. So now is the time to twist that throttle, try and take that second position. He'll know from his mechanic that if he's able to take this spot, he'll be tied for the championship. He goes to the outside. He does it that quickly. We now have the 2 championship title contenders tied. This is what everyone's been hoping for, David.
Now the question is now that Lamson's got a little shot in the arm, got some aggression going. Maybe he's a little bit irritated with having to work his way around Kevin Windham like that. Maybe he's got the speed to go up and catch Ryan.
We'll find out shortly, of course. Like tennis, like a lot of sports, motocross a lot of times has to do with momentum. You build the momentum. That's why guys who get the great starts seem to always be able to extend that and have that kind of confidence. What's it going to take now for Lamson to kick in some extra momentum?
Well, perhaps the fear of losing his job. I mean, we're not really certain whether Lamson is signed with Honda. I know they've been talking, but Honda in the past has been known to cut a rider even after they've won a title.
Steve Lamson will be hoping for some extra job security. Looking at the Suzuki Field Summary, you see he has to put that pressure on Ryan Hughes. The other championship contenders, Huffman in 6th, Brown in 9th. We'll be right back. Driving back to Delmont, Pennsylvania. Jan Beekes, David Bailey in the booth. Art Ekman down in the mechanics area. And there's the white flag. 1 lap to go here. Ryan Hughes currently in the lead. But David, it takes a full 3 minutes and 30 seconds for these guys to make a lap here. There's plenty of racing left.
Oh, plenty of racing left. And also, it might be interesting to note that Steve Lamson won the first moto here last year, and Ryan Hughes was 4th. So Ryan Hughes definitely stepped up the pace this year, and it's just a question now whether he can hang on to it.
Now, of course, Delmont has not been very kind to Ryan Hughes. He ended up in a fist fight last year with Doug Henry, the eventual champion. And right there, looks like the rear wheel slipped out a little bit.
Right, he just got a little crossed up in that rut and leaning a little bit too much to the inside. Look at Lamson down the inside, putting the pressure on. I can tell you that these guys are both nervous, and Ryan Hughes has got to feel the most pressure here at this moment, because if he loses this moto, he's going to drop 6 points behind. If he can hang on, it's going to be tied.
We could potentially be tied going into moto number 2. Of course, Steve Lamson knows it's all up to him now. Ryan Hughes just has to keep it on 2 wheels. It's now up to Steve Lamson to see how big of a chance he may take. Now, you said earlier in the broadcast, David, you thought that Ryan Hughes could come up with extra, but you weren't sure about Lamson.
Right, well, Lamson's coming up with a little extra, but it doesn't appear here that he's riding over his head. That was the point that I was making. I think right here, Ryan Hughes can feel that pressure by Lamson and know he's got to just go faster and step up the pace, ride a little bit over his head and pull it off. He's done it before.
Remember, we are on the final lap here. He is going to hang it out. He being, of course, Steve Lamson. If he's going to go for it, now has to be the time. We'll watch the timing through here. Similar timing. However, look, a double there, different timing. Lamson closes the gap somewhat. Now on the downhill, Lamson's going for it, goes to the outside, but then loses some momentum, David.
Well, he tried to come into that corner hot, and that's a really steep off camber, and you need all the momentum you can get going back up the hill, and he just messed up the berm a little bit. On a 125, it's tough to get that speed back.
The fans are being treated to a great show here. It looks as though Ryan Hughes right there really stepped it up, got some great traction. He's making sure he's got a little bit of breathing room. They're getting closer, ever closer to that finish line.
Well, I can tell you that Ryan is wanting to put as much distance between himself and Lamson as he can, because when they get down to those final last couple of corners, Lamson, if he's close enough, he might be able to go in there and stuff Ryan, and I don't think Ryan wants any part of that. He's going to try to make sure he's got enough room on him so that doesn't happen.
Ryan has been stuffed before, in his own words here, by Honda riders, and like you said, he wants to make sure he has enough breathing room. The tension, the pressure is building. They are wheel and wheel, neck and neck. It all comes down to this. Can Lamson get enough momentum? Can he get enough speed to make the move? At least from this camera angle, he's definitely close enough with only a few corners to go. Lamson is giving it everything he has.
You can see Ryan, as they came over that jump going into the corner there, he just kind of crossed the bike up and aimed for the inside. If he leaves any room entering any corner, I think Lamson's going to go in there and shut the door. So you can see Ryan's riding pretty smart. And Lamson right there almost goes off the racetrack. Does a good job of staying inside the banners, but he lost a lot of time.
It looks like it was exactly what Ryan Hughes needed. They're only 1 corner away from the finish line. Ryan Hughes takes it. Steve Lamson gave it everything he had, but came up short. We now have a tie for the championship going into Moto 2. Moto 1 results: Hughes, Lamson, Wyndham, Pichon, and Craig. Damon Huffman stayed in 6th place. Pretty much eliminated from the championship. Mike Brown slipped to 9th.